We have had parents that tell us that they are learning how to encode and decode right along with their learners. And we wrote it so that they could.
Who did you write LexiaHeroes for?
Well, I had a great mentor, Susan Barton, and she inspired my entire career. And Susan Barton believes that the best solution for dyslexia is parents. And in watching and using her program for years, I knew she was right. And when we wanted to add to the field, I didn't rewrite Barton. I just wanted to add another solution out there. I think with the limited resources in school, the issues with qualifying for services, that we're really not helping very many people. Even the best teachers are not seeing as many students as they want to, reading teachers and specialists. And so I still think that, the idea that parents are the best solution remains. So LexiaHeroes is written for parents to use. We also do have dyslexia professionals who use it as well, but it really was written for parents, and it was written for parents who may even have dyslexia themselves. And we wrote it for parents that might have very limited literacy. So that's who we wrote it for.
So how does that work? If a parent or I have limited literacy, how do I go about facilitating a lesson?
Well, what we did is we tried to make it so that it was fully audio supported. So a parent actually doesn't teach as much as they facilitate. That's why we call them instructors most of the time instead of teachers. And the idea is that the lesson is there, the lesson can be played, and the parent's main job is to facilitate the lesson in a way that the learner actually does all of it and that they do it correctly. And to do this, we have provided information on every single practice item that will support a parent in checking to see if it's right. So, for example, if we have a non-word, the non-word might appear on the screen, but the audio check will be there as well. And we make it a regular habit for the parent or the student to check their answer after every single one.
How much prep time do you recommend a parent needs in order to prepare for facilitating a lesson?
I wish there was an easy answer to that. I'm glad we're talking about this, because I think some parents might need 10 minutes on one day, and the same parent might need another hour on the other day, another day. So it kind of depends on, where your learner is. If your learner is, let's just say, a typical session, okay, your learner has done well on the last session, they are ready for the next session, I would say that the instructor needs to listen to the lesson audio. They need to look at their progress reporting form from the previous lesson and see what additional needs there might be. And they need to listen to any kind of special instructions for the practice items that limit it just to that concept. So it's really not a ton of prep time. That could be, I don't know, Ashley, what do you think that is?
Probably about a minimum of 10 minutes, like you said, and it will be totally dependent on if you are currently focusing on addressing specific needs or if they're in a period of time in which they're just sailing through lessons.
Right.
Because there's always going to be periods where you're going to need to go back to previous learned material and focus more on that.
Right. The other idea there too is that as a parent, you may not actually have ever heard about those concepts before too. So you as a parent might need a little bit more time to go ahead and look at some of those practice items, make sure that you're comfortable with them. And, we have had parents do that. We have had parents that tell us that they are learning how to encode and decode right along with their learners. And we wrote it so that they could.
So can a kiddo just sit down at the computer and just get theirself through a lesson?
No. LexiaHeroes is a platform that is designed for an instructor to facilitate a lesson. So everything they need to help the student go through the lesson correctly is there. However, accuracy is incredibly important when learning to encode and decode. And we find that most kids need an instructor to help them to make sure that they are accurate, that they are not creating bad habits, and that they actually do all the steps. because we're already working with smart kids that have already figured out how to get around things. And sometimes this work is really hard, and we know that kids would probably find a way to work around that too. So a parent there is, there for accountability, for accuracy, for support, and to also make sure that, when a student needs to review material, that they're keeping track of that as well.